Dare to be Different, which is the song we'll be doing today, which is an antidote for discouragement, despair, cowardice, and the desire to control others, as we will see as we go along. I want to preface this song before I play the first recording. I say that Dare to be Different is very much like the song Walk Like a Man that we enjoyed a couple of weeks ago. And Swami Ananda actually assigned both songs to discouragement, a little bit different qualities, but both serve in many of the same capacities. And you can see that that idea of dare to be different and go on alone have a similar thought to there. But it's worth repeating what Kriyananda wrote about this song in particular and what that idea of different actually means. And let me read his little passage from his book, A Tale of Songs. He says, many people equate submissiveness, if I can say that, many people equate submissiveness to custom with humility and nonconformity with egotism. These equations are false. To try on principle to be different from others is surely a sign of egotism, but to dare to be different means to place sincerity above mindless acceptance of outworn customs. True originality means to act sincerely from one's own inner being, from one's origin in himself. Only by that integrity can one achieve inner freedom, the birthright of every soul. So let's enjoy the song now, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air, be strong in your courage when others despair. Never in anger, never in haste, go without pride, be never abased. Freedom is yours, if freedom you'll give, to all give it freely, in freedom you'll live. Mountains that stand up tall to the sky tell us no dreaming is ever too high. Dare to defy them, brave that high peak. You'll never know failure if bravely you seek. Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air, be strong in your courage when others despair.
So as with many songs in Ananda music, this one reaches to where people are. Starting in the third chakra with that message of dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far, like wind on the sea. It's very much that message of self-reliance and going at it alone, like we saw in Walk Like a Man. But the touch here on the third chakra is actually very brief because right away the song in the first verse goes up into the heart chakra, and you hear that fly like a gull, soar high on the air. And if you hear the melody of it, fly like a gull, soar high on the air, the words, the notes, the imagery there is all uplifting and just instantly lifts that energy up to the heart. And then the second line, be strong in your courage when others despair. Here we go, right away with discouragement and despair, saying have that strength in the heart that's courageous. If you think of somebody like Richard the Lionheart in history, we call him the Lionheart because he had so much courage and so much strength. And so we get that message here right in the heart that addresses, again, discouragement and despair. Immediately into the second verse, we deepen the feelings in the heart. Never in anger, never in haste. Go without pride, be never abased. Now there's a lot going on right here. So let's look at each one of those little bits of words. So never in anger. Anger, as Sri Yukteswar said to Paramahansa Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi, he said springs from thwarted expectations, thwarted desires. So it's that anger is that desire of the heart going out and expecting fulfillment. And to say never in anger is to say bring those desires back into the heart. So we have the energy in the heart chakra. We're just trying to bring it back in and not make it dependent, not make our happiness dependent on outward desires of fulfillment of desires. And the same thing with haste. If you think about haste, that's a quality of being impatient, especially being impatient for your desires to be fulfilled. And so those two things go together to say, yes, bring that energy back into the heart. And then go without pride is also, pride is typically like an ego quality at the medulla, but here in the heart, it's saying don't feel that your daring to be different, your flying sets you apart from other people. In fact, this is an invitation to really help the energy up the spine a little bit further, to say that you don't want to taint everything going on here with the pride and with the haste and with the anger. Bring it back in, let it go up. And so in that next line, in the second verse, freedom is yours if freedom you give. Again, it's on that lifting melody. To all give it freely, in freedom you'll live. Now this is clearly an expression of the throat chakra energy, the expansiveness of the throat chakra that says freedom, that ability to be whatever you need to be is yours if freedom you give. Now the simple message here is that if you expect to follow your own lights, daring to be different, you have to give others also the freedom to follow theirs. The result is then, as the words say, you're surrounded by freedom. To all give it freely, in freedom you'll live. What happens here is that we typically believe that if we give other people the freedom to think for themselves, then they'll start using you as a doormat, and they'll start imposing their ideas and their opinions upon you, and we fear that. That's something we're afraid of, so there's a fear of giving that freedom. But the real opposite is true, that as you give that freedom to others to think clearly for themselves, then you build up a mutual respect because they give it back to you. You create that magnetic exchange of freedom between you and between others. And that, again, leads to mutual respect, to constructive dialogue when you don't agree, that you can have differing opinions and actually come together and find common ground. And that's a very good thing to remember in times like right now, which is October, 2 weeks before we have another national election, to remember to give people that freedom to think for themselves. So that in and of itself is actually a pretty strong message, but now the song takes us even a little higher and encourages us to look even more highly. Mountains that stand up tall to the sky tell us no dreaming is ever too high. Now the dreaming here is really saying to dream, to have high aspirations at the spiritual eye, to imagine a high destiny for oneself now that you have really the freedom to think and go wherever you'd like. And this is different from mere dreaminess, which is a negative quality of the throat chakra, where you kind of wishy-washy or not really grounded and just sort of dreaming out there. This is real dreams with real high aspirations and real attachment to that truth and that superconsciousness. And we often get thwarted at the medulla oblongata with the ego not wanting to allow us to go there. So the song is really saying, encouraging us to get up here. Now it reminds me quite a bit of a story, and maybe this is even part of the inspiration for the song, is in Swami Kriyananda's book, The New Path, his own autobiography. He tells a story about Yogananda having a vision as a boy, where Yogananda was in this dusty marketplace with all the kind of worldly materialism going on around him, and just looking at this scene of squalid humanity. And every now and then somebody would stand in front of him and look above his head and sigh wistfully and say, "Oh, but it's much too high for me." And this happened a number of times, and Yogananda finally said, "What's going on? What are they looking at?" And he turns around and he sees up in the distance on a mountain this absolutely beautiful garden that is just stunning to him, and he longs so much wants to be there. And the thought enters his mind, "Oh, but it's much too high for me." But then he dismisses that thought and says, I may not be able to get there in a single step, but I can put one foot in front of the other. And then, of course, I will get there. And so the song says the same thing. Dare to climb boldly, brave that high peak. Again, on that uplifting melody, you'll never know failure if bravely you seek. It's interesting, by the way, to see that the original words in this verse were dare to defy them, which is a word that you heard Swami singing just now. Brave that high peak, you'll never know failure if victory you seek. And he changed these words only a few years ago to say dare to climb boldly, which is different to say defying is like trying to push something away or trying to say, trying to conquer the challenge or get rid of the challenge. But in this case, the mountains represent high aspiration, and we want to climb them and reach that peak, reach that beautiful garden on the mountain, rather than defying it. And then instead of saying, dare to climb, you'll never know failure if victory you seek, which implies attachment to the results. You'll never know failure if bravely you seek, which is in the taking the steps bravely. It's in the activity itself, not in the achievement of the end goal. This is very similar to the song we did 2 weeks ago, The Hill That Was Tara, that said, all too often my dreaming courage turned to despair, till I learned that success is but the courage to dare. Same kind of sentiment here. You'll never know failure if bravely you seek. And it gives you that spirit of spiritual adventuresomeness, as Yogananda liked to call it, that just get in there. It doesn't matter how you climb. It doesn't matter how you seek. Just do it bravely. Take one step. Put one foot in front of the other, and you will really get there. So then the song finally concludes with singing the first verse through again, and by this time we're now up at the spiritual eye. Oh, and I should mention that the imagery of mountains, I forgot to say before, mountains that stand up tall to the sky. When we teach meditation classes, we're often teaching people how to lift their eyes gently to put energy toward the spiritual eye. And one of the images that we give people is imagine that you're staring at a distant mountain peak, and then your eyes are just in that proper position, not looking up cross-eyed to the ceiling and not looking at the tip of your nose, but looking to a distant mountain peak. And so we have that association with the imagery right there. So when we go back to the first verse and sing it through at the spiritual eye, again, we've taken that self-reliance and self-determination from the third chakra, lifted it up, and now singing dare to be different in a way of saying dare to embrace the superconsciousness, dare to embrace the highest destiny, the highest that's within you and the highest within everyone else. Bring it into attunement with God, into superconsciousness, where it can achieve so much more than just reliance on your little self. So again, just as with the song Walk Like a Man, dare to be different serves as an antidote for discouragement, for despair, also for cowardice. You can see that braveness that's in the song encourages us out of cowardice. And that idea of freedom is a little different. In Walk Like a Man, the throat chakra was about not being afraid to give love to others, which is why it's an antidote for fear. In this case, it's about giving freedom to others, which is a little different quality. And that's why I say it's a great antidote for the desire to control others or to control others' opinions. Swami Kriyananda also assigned this song to day 7 of Secrets of Emotional Healing, which reads as follows. He said, the secret of overcoming discouragement is not to brood. Instead, act. Uplift your heart's feelings. Stand upright. Inhale, and with the inhalation, draw courage upward from your heart to your forehead. Then exhaling, cast out of yourself all mental weakness and negativity. And what else does the song do but exactly that? Now, the next track I want to play for you as we close is off of the Mystic Harp 2 album. And this one is just an instrumental, and you'll hear the melody and be able to sing the words in your mind, but listen carefully to the instrumentation, because we have a harp playing alongside a clarinet kind of sound. And in many of the Mystic Harp recordings, we hear the harp playing the melody that's representing more of our point of view, and things like the clarinet and a French horn representing the divine point of view. And here we get the two working together in harmony in a way to suggest that God is always there and always alongside us, encouraging us to get up, like the Secrets saying says, to get up and take some breaths and step out with courage and to act. It reminds me of that scene in the movie Groundhog Day, if you know that one, where Bill Murray's character comes out of his room in a morning, and it's one of the days where he's very bright and energetic, and he embraces the man he sees in the hallway and quotes him some poetry, and the man at the end just goes, he's full of that courage, full of that energy to go out and really embrace the world as it is. So as you hear this mystic harp recording, try to think of that divine partner alongside you the whole time. And then interestingly, the song plays through again after just one time through. It goes through again. And the harp even starts to fade out a little bit more at times, which helps us see that we're not just affirming that desire to climb the mountain, we're actually there. And now we're reliving through all of that previous energy, going through it again from the divine and the higher perspective. And we realize in that God's energy has been what's been flowing through us all along. It's not just been us suddenly attuning ourselves to the divine, it's been the divine ever since day one. And then the arrangement, as you'll hear, ends with even a nicer, higher upsweep of notes that's very inspiring, leaves us with that sense of upliftment and courage and so forth.